It's similar to that one, but the only reason you can see all of these windows at the same time when I go into the UVs is because I collapsed it and then adjusted the UVs after the fact. If I didn't adjust the UVs, they would look like, which looks the same, but they'd look like inside that. Half a window, a full window, because that's all there really is inside of here. So after I collapsed it, I went in and duped and moved all the pieces so they were right on. They were by themselves. Do y'all get that?
Separate texture.
Yeah, they were the same. They both have two IDs. They both use inset ID and body ID. This has inset ID and body ID, but this inset ID, I didn't change the body ID, but the inset ID one, when I go into it, after I symmetried it, I collapsed it, and then put all those edges together and made separate pieces for them. Do you understand?
I think so, yeah.
Everybody?
Yeah, because it would have overlapped and you would have, yada yada.
And the way I did it is I built the quarter, like we're talking about. Okay, I attached the pieces as best I could with the least amount of work. All that stuff, I didn't have to fight with 100 things. Then I broke these pieces out. Then I gave them a separate ID. I collapsed my UV unwrap, put a separate ID on these guys, went back into my UV, added another UV unwrap back on it, and then selected all these faces and said, and they were now in a different channel, and then just said, fill the space. So I just did the tool pack UVs, and it packed them all as best it could inside of this area. After
so you
I put them
unwrapped
together.
a quarter,
Uh-huh.
and then you applied the symmetry by converting to double poly, and then you went back and only re-UV laid out just those windows.
Yeah, so I can show you why, and the only reason I did this is so I can
Okay.
show you why. Yes, that's exactly what I did.
You didn't stitch it, you just re-popped it back into the UV editor as a whole after the symmetry?
After the symmetry, I came back into the UV editor, because if you look at this UV, this looks exactly like this, I think. If it's not, it's because I just reset it up. Oh, I know what I did. This one has some other problems that I noticed after I rebuilt it. But all I did is I came back to the other channel and copied them since they're all on top of each other. So here, I did this. Watch. I'll do it to this one.
Yeah, I was going to say, because that only has one. Once you symmetry it 2 times, there would be 3 on top of each other.
Before you applied the symmetry modifiers, before you applied the unwrap UVW, did you do that thing where you only select the windows because that's all you want to unwrap? Or did you just get them all by the material ID?
I always do them. All I did is I grabbed that because all I did is this. I just take this face and turn on 45-degree angle, and I click here, and it would grab everything I needed. And there's only 3 of them. When I did it this way, it's another reason I do it this way. So I've got 3 of them selected. I came over to my material IDs.
Changed it to
and just changed it to 2 or whatever number I needed to change.
And then
it
in
to.
the unwrap, when you unwrap the whole thing again, how did you keep it from unwrapping all the other?
Here, I'll show you. So I'm going to do it like,
Okay.
so this is like I had it before I finally change it to this. So I'll do symmetry, and I'll say flip, and then I'll do another symmetry. It's kind of what we did for that video, and I don't think I actually flip. I think it's Z, and it's fine, yeah. So then I collapsed it. I don't even have to collapse it. I can just come up here and go UV unwrap on top of the stack, and it'll just unwrap it with the UVs, with the modifiers. But you know me and my hating modifiers underneath, but I'll leave it up there, that's fine. That way I
so
can
you
do
have
it.
the.
It just happened to be what I had selected last, is what
But
it's
that's
showing.
the only thing it unwraps if you have them selected, correct?
No, because I didn't have them selected. But when you put a UV unwrap, whatever you last had selected will show up. I don't have them selected. In here, you'll see it's not selected. But when you put on the UV unwrap, it goes to a poly or an edit or a vert. Just automatically opens it up to that. No matter what I put it on, it's always going to try and find something. And since it went to poly, that was the last thing it grabbed the last polys I had selected. It's just random.
But it won't lock that to be the only thing
No.
you can unwrap?
Nope.
Like,
So if I open it here.
That last class or something.
Well, I think in order for them to
Only
do it,
if
in
you
this
select
case,
them.
if it's collapsed it and then select it, then
If I had,
and then UV unwrap the UV.
if I had done it this way with those selected, so they're already selected, and then I put the symmetry in symmetry, which first off the symmetry would break because it's symmetry on that. But if I did, I go to UV unwrap, and then I'd say open editor, and then only thing will be on there is that.
So that's one way to do it, I guess, if you didn't want to do it by the material ID thing.
Well, that is just the same.
Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, but that would be weird because if I did that, okay, so I see what you're saying. So if I didn't want to do material ID, I just wanted them bigger, they'd be overlapping the other pieces because they wouldn't be separate. They'd still be the same in the same area. They'd look like,
And wouldn't they share the same texture as well if you didn't
Yeah.
have it separate?
I have a question that kind of deals with that.
they'd just look like this. Even if I made them bigger, they'd be sitting on top of each other. So when I painted on here, it would paint in here too.
Right, but you can move them and resize them as you needed to fit.
Right. You have to remember I did this before I unwrapped it. So I broke it into two parts, then I changed the size of them. They originally all fit into one big thing, but I said I wanted more room for these guys, so I scaled them as a different material ID.
Gotcha. I
Okay.
understand. I have a quick question.
Huh?
Some of the times when I unwrapped and then I packed the UVs, you know, there was still a lot of space left,
Mm-hmm.
just because of the shapes of the UVs and everything. Would it make sense to break up some of the other UVs so that the pack UVs is more efficient? Or can you just select an island and scale it up to
I do
take
that
more
too.
space?
I do.
There's
back
no
here.
downside to that or any like.
I mean, it's just about how much resolution changes you're going to see. You know, if it's going to make it. That was weird. Flip.
You still have your polygon selected, maybe?
No. Okay. Let's try this again. Z. Flip. There we go. Symmetry. There. I don't know what I did before.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
fine.
scaling. If you look at the UVs on this, here, let me show you. If I look at the UVs on this, and we hide the other set because there's two sets, inset and body, and these are named off of the materials I named them. Okay, so I don't show this. There are some things in here. Let me say checker pattern. I think this is the one I did it on. Yeah, like this is really big
Mm-hmm.
because it's small. That's up here.
Gotcha, because it's not important. You don't
Yeah,
have to look
so
at
I
it.
just hit it out of the way. And it may be important eventually, but I wasn't, at this point, I wasn't going to worry about looking inside the coffin.
But in theory, wouldn't you want to scale that up to take up the extra?
Yes, and I think I
margin?
didn't in this case because there were some other things when I did this part. There were other pieces to it. So,
That clears up a lot of my.
yeah, you can scale this to like that big. You want to eat up as much space as you can. These, when I did the auto unwrap stuff, it threw them all over the place. I just grabbed them and threw them inside this window so they're all in the same place and I know what I'm looking at.